Hello, everyone. Thank you for checking out this episode of Nerd Caliber. I'm here with Hellspawned Cosplay as Homelander from the Boys series. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, hang in there.
Like we all are.
Yes, yes. So let's first talk about the cosplay. Tell us how you assembled this costume.
This was okay. So there are plenty of different cosplayers out there that just buy their costumes or they create it. There's supposed to be no judgment about that whatsoever. Some people are different about that, but this is the one that I did buy straight out from I believe easycosplay.com. I did when I did receive it, I did have to have it a little bit more tailored to my own specific uh, dimensions or measurements. Um, I sent the people my measurements, and they said, "Sir, that doesn't make any sense." My my shoulder to waist ratio doesn't make sense to them. So I just told them just send me something generic, and then I'll have it tailored, and that's what I did.
Okay. Would you say that was the most difficult thing about um, once you received the costume to make it fit you?
Yeah, I mean it's once you've gotten your measurements several times so that you can get stuff tailored to you, that becomes like the really easy part. There's nothing really difficult about this cosplay. It really was a an opportunity for me to just say like, hey, I've got something in my mind that I want to get out, as far as like free expression. The lane that I have chosen to travel in life has afforded me the opportunity to speak my voice. So I was like, well, I want to send a specific message. I'm going to do that with this character, and I just bought it, and it came in the mail, and I had it altered, and um, was able to organize a photo shoot with Harry Crossland, or eyes through the eyes of H photography on Facebook.
Okay. Before we get into the message behind it, just one more question about it. Is it comfortable to wear?
Yes, it is. I recently was able to put a little string in on the zipper and zip it up myself. So I'm not really all that flexible because I'm as thick as I am. I mean, I don't know how that sounds, but it's a it's a thing. So I've had to do some modifications in order to make sure that I can put this on whenever I need to, whenever I want to, and just like tonight, do this interview with you.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned that you had a message in mind for this cosplay. What was your message behind this?
Well, the thing is, if you know the character of Homelander, I mean, this is the Homelander from the series, right? Not the graphic novel. Okay, there's a distinction between the two, but the character from the series um, is very much uh, selfish, self-centered. I mean, he's got some homicidal tendencies to him. There's a lot about him that would identify with, I guess you would say, the Trump administration. Just because, I know politics is a touchy subject, but you know, let's call a spade a spade. The Trump administration was a racist, fascist, corporate driven entity that brought our country to its knees to a degree, especially with the insurrection a couple of weeks ago on the Capitol. When I decided that there was an opportunity for me to speak my voice and protest my way, it was before the November elections. And I figured in my mind that if there was an alternate reality or an Earth 2, okay, so to speak, where a black Homelander existed, he would be for the Biden Harris administration and denounce Trump and Pence. Um, let's just say Earth 1, Homelander. Again, going back to the series, when Stormfront got just a little bit too racist and she started talking about, you know, uh, our race, this, and us first, there was that one moment where Homelander looked at her sideways because he didn't agree with that. He was questioning that part of her mentality. So taking that a step further, let's say Earth One Homelander denounced, like he believed that the Trump and Pence administration was so bad that even he couldn't deal with it. So in my mind, it works both ways. Whether it's Earth One or Earth Two, Homelander is not a fan of the Trump and Pence administration. So Harry and I decided to go to DC, take a few photos at the Martin Luther King Memorial, at the Lincoln Steps, at the Lincoln Memorial, and then also at the Capitol itself. I did buy, like, I don't know what it is. When you destroy a political sign, people automatically think you stole it, as opposed to buy it. Like, I'm a fully functioning member of society. I'm going to purchase things because I'm not going to put myself in a position to, to go to jail, because this is stupid. So I bought the sign and the flags, and we tore them up, set them on fire, and had a good time with it. With all of the xenophobia and racism that came from that administration, it felt cathartic to really put our feelings into this whole thing and send a message that we as a people, and I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody, but personally, I could not rock with this administration, and I was hoping for Biden and Harris to get elected. So that was the whole point of this cosplay. Like, it was completely politically driven.
And if I may ask, what were the reactions once you posted this online?
Well, they were okay. So I'm a very confrontational person. I don't have a problem, having a conversation with somebody or a debate or even an argument. So when I posted it, I also hashtagged the Proud Boys, the GOP. Like, I was looking for that smoke. I was looking for them to challenge me and to call me out, because I was calling them out. I didn't hear a thing from them. I'm not saying that I should have, because it's not like I'm that big of a deal or anything like that. But when you post something that is so antithetical to a lot of people's political leanings, you normally would hear something. The reaction that I did get came from people of color. And the argument that was being presented was that cosplay should not be mixed with politics. And again, it's a weird argument. You say that cosplay and comics and politics should not mix, yet you have a whole lot of people cosplaying as Captain America, who is a purely political figure. Then people had the argument, when that was shot down, the argument was that I should not be cosplaying as this specific villain, because this specific villain is a Nazi or a Nazi adjacent. So what about all those Red Skull cosplayers? What about, I'm just saying, there's so many different villains that have done worse, whether it be the Joker, or Bane, or Thanos snapped half of the universe, and yet he is still a viable villain to cosplay. So every argument that they put out there to say that I should not have cosplayed this character was shot down, and it boiled down to them just not appreciating or liking the fact that I was getting attention for this character, or at all. It's kind of disheartening. I know you've heard of, gatekeeping and not judging someone for the cosplays that they do, whether they're lewd or whether they're suggestive or they're political. I was the subject of that type of online bullying from people who decided that I was no longer worthy of that type of consideration. And it was disheartening. It hurt, just simply because when I came into the cosplay community, I was very ignorant to a lot of what goes on, the sensitivities of folks, the boundaries people have set up, uh, the underbelly of cosplay. It's there. I mean, I'm not going to shy away from that. It's there. So I had to learn, adjust, and grow. I did all of that for 3 years later for people to do exactly what I was taught not to do to me. And it just didn't make any sense. And I'm a very logical person. I'm an ESTJ on the Myers-Briggs scale. So when things come at me in a very illogical way, it's hard for me to understand. And when there's nobody there to explain to me, I'm just there left in my feelings. So it was the reaction was something that I did not expect.
Okay. Did you get any support?
I had got a lot of support from people who considered the cosplay to be brave, because a lot of people wouldn't put their names out there to do something like this. I guess this is to me, I didn't think that it was that that big of a statement that one would stake their reputation on, because it's a fictional character, excuse me. So when folks were saying that to me, that they were proud that they could get behind this and they knew immediately what I meant, it felt great. Like that dopamine shot, got in there and I was fine. But it just, it's always difficult to hear the positive voices when the negative ones are so adamant, even though they're smaller in number. The fact that they're there, it lets you know that one, you can't please everyone, and two, folks will find a reason to hate your art, to let you know that you are not on a certain level or beyond reproach. And that's fine. That's fine. Nobody's invincible. Nobody is, uh, beyond any kind of like questioning. But when it comes from your own people, you kind of have to wonder, like, am I doing everything that I need to do in order for the proliferation of minorities within mainstream media, if those minorities are coming for me the way that I would expect the GOP or the Proud Boys to?
If you had to do this all over again, would you do it?
Oh yeah. I don't regret my cosplay. I spend enough time thinking about it throughout the workday, thinking and planning and considering what it means to me. And honestly, I got a message the other day where someone was saying that I was losing followers because of my political cosplays and whatnot. And the only thing I did was I sent him a picture of me in this very same cosplay. And I said that I will not be deterred from doing what I want to do based on the number of followers that I have. Because at the end of the day, if I was a politician, that would be tantamount to taking bribes or accepting money from lobbyists, or, influenced in a certain way, as opposed to going, to Washington to do what the people want you to do, what they voted you in to do. So I'm not, the followers help when it comes to validate, when you're trying to approach like Mattel. Like, I've been trying to get Mattel to put more Black and brown faces in their action lines. I've had different avenues in doing that, between going to San Diego Comic-Con in 2019 or PowerCon as He-Man, and last year I was a panelist for Afropunk, and it was the same message of trying to push for more Black and brown faces, because and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but in my mind, if type A personalities like judges and police officers are predisposed to action-oriented stimuli when they're younger, then in my mind, if there was a black or brown face that they were playing with when it comes to their action figures, they would be more well adjusted to dealing with those types of people when, or us, when they get older, and they won't be so quick to pull the trigger like they did on Tamir Rice in an open carry state when he was a 13-year-old boy.
Mm.
You know, they would have more consideration for our lives. Like, unless, you know, if you think about Breonna Taylor, they just came in and just started shooting all wildly. But again, it's all about how some people do not see people of color as people. And my message has always been to push for more black and brown faces as far as the representation, because it matters. And that's all that I'm really trying to do. I kind of lost my point for a second, so but that's the mode that I'm always in, is that message, hammering that to a T.
Do you plan to use Homelander again?
I don't know. Like, I took pictures tonight, you know, and thinking, because I'm going to tag you in on Facebook, you know, when I push because I'm gonna put the pictures out tonight. So like, I did this interview with Nerd Caliber, you know, whatnot. And I'm not sure if I need to, unless I'm like specifically asked to. It did its job. You know, it got people talking about the election way before the election. Biden Harris is in. The photos that came out look really good. Yeah, I don't think I really need this suit anymore, especially with what I've got going on this year and where I'm moving forward to. I don't know. I just, only by request. Let's just say that.
Okay. So for anyone out there that is thinking of using cosplay as a way of either protesting or making a point, and I do want to say that cosplay is art, and art has always been political, and always talking about what's going on in our society and reflections of that and so forth. That could be a whole nother video in itself.
Right.
But anyone that's watching this and is inspired, what would you say? What would you advise them to do?
Toughen up the skin and stay the course. You know, there's been a drought in people using their voices, because we have gone through a period of time where speaking up and speaking out has had negative connotations to it. You know, like Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, you know, when the whole like Trump administration thing, he did what he knew was right. And he even told his father when he sat down before Congress and answered the questions, like, this is America. This isn't some, you know, authoritative country where I can't use my voice and do the right thing and receive, you know, consequences. That's not what's supposed to happen in America. And yet it did, you know, simply because of who was in charge. So I implore any and everyone to use whatever lane that you are proficient in or that you have found the most success in, and push the narrative. We need people who are not afraid. We need people who are willing to take, you know, the brunt of the negative feedback in order to push the message of equality and unity, you know. And I feel like we're on the precipice of something amazing, simply because there are a lot of voices out there that are doing the same thing that I am. They're just, you know, they're not talking to the right people, like talking to you, you know. So I truly believe that if someone wants to speak their mind, speak their voice, do so as loudly as you possibly can.
So for anyone out there that wants to follow your cosplay or anything that you're working on, where can they go?
My main source is Instagram, Hellspawned_cosplay. I am, I'm not, I try to post something, or at least I did post something every day in order to help the algorithm put me out there in order to get other people recognized, because I don't have a problem hyping other folks up. I don't put people in my stories because those go away in like 24 hours. I put them on my actual page, um and so that they can see and always go back to that post because it's important. It's this was never an individual thing. I've always had help, and I believe it's always going to be a team effort. So there's no pulling the ladder up behind me. The more success I get or whatever, there's always going to be the same people around me because, again, who am I? What is this? This is cosplay. We're doing something for everybody, for children, for adults. It's supposed to be about everybody. So it's always going to be Hellspawn_cosplay is the main thing. As of right now, I'm pushing another independent project called VT Heroes, which is a tokukatsu that is a deck building battling system that comes from Jason Richardson. He's the owner and proprietor of J1 Con out of New Jersey. So this was a Kickstarter, and it's on store shelves. It's doing pretty well. So there's that. And then Mini Jenny Customs has created a Funko Pop of my He-Man.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it is like it's between that and this actual action figure of my He-Man. Like, it's amazing. My 4-year-old self is losing his mind all the time, every day. But yeah, Mini Jenny's Customs is selling this. There is another company that I'm affiliated with called Geek and Game. They have a few comic book and toy stores out in Texas, and they are also carrying this Funko Pop. So there's going to be a few that I'm going to sign. So yeah, if you go to my Instagram page and you'll see Mini Genie Customs, it's all over my page. You can order through them through Instagram, and yeah, I'm super proud of this because, again, this is all about the proliferation of minorities within mainstream media, and it's not. And I might be the first, but trust me, I am not going to be the last. I am hoping that more cosplayers are getting in contact with her in order for her to make their cosplays into Funko Pops and get our faces out there. Like, I'm just a prototype, and I'm just showing folks that it can be done. So they should be doing it.
Excellent. Well, thank you, sir, so much for taking the time to talk about this. And I'm glad that this Earth and Earth 2 has got rid of Trump and that nonsense. Yes. Although there's still much work to do. Thank you very much. And to our viewers out there, be safe, take care, and stay tuned for more nerd caliber cosplay content. Have a great day.